It's the final match of primetime Saturday night, about to get started here on the MLE Network. Welcome back. My name is still Inanimate J, still in the booth with the one and only Lars Newt. Lars, this one on paper seems like it's one that might not mean a lot at the end of the season. At the start of the season, tough for us to say where teams are going to end up when all of these games are scheduled, but it is the Spartans with one last chance to stay alive for the playoffs. The Sabres as well with one last chance to stay alive for the playoffs. Both teams really needing a sweep to come out of this one with anything.
Yeah, and unfortunately for both these teams, sweeps are hard to come by, and that's more or less the only way that this works out in their positive, is to take all 5 games, especially as you look to the last few weeks of the season. It's going to be so hard to make back not just anything that you don't pick up here in a 5-0 sweep, but against potentially slightly more solid teams, it just becomes harder and harder to try to make your way into the playoffs. So, like you said, 5-0 is going to be the game to get right here.
I think the one thing that works a little bit in favor of at least the Sabres is that a 4-1 in this case pulls them somewhat into the conversation for the wild card. It's not the best road to the wild card, but it's still not the worst result in the world. For the Spartans, on the other hand, there's one road, and it's to run the table from here on out. They need every single win they can get from here to have any hope of getting where they need to be if they want to make the playoffs this season. And that's a tough place to be.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, as much as, you know, as viewers, we do not like to see sweeps. You know, we like to see that series like we just had with the Wolves going all the way to Game 5 to try to bring this one back and get themselves above 500. That's the series you want to see. But as, you know, as stats person, you want to see the 5-0 for either of these teams. You want to see that kind of success going forward. At the end of the day, the only way to figure this out, though, is to put the players on the field and duke this one out. I think, let me ask the question, actually. What do you think is going to be the difference between these two teams that could set a team up for that 5-0 sweep?
I think whichever team just wants this one more. If the Sabres come in and maybe just want that 5-0 a little bit more than the Spartans, who may have already resigned themselves to their fate of not making the playoffs, then they might come in a little bit edgier, a little bit tenser, and that leaves them open for the Spartans to take advantage of. Conversely, I think if the Sabres come in and maybe just play knowing that they need wins, but just with that relaxed mentality, there's that opportunity for them to just have fun with it and have the game flow in their favor.
Yeah, so that's something kind of key to look at here is playing for fun. You tend to play better when you're feeling yourselves and you're not feeling pressured. That's why, you know, a lot of times maybe you play better in casuals instead of ranked, because there's no real pressure. You just get to play loose and you get to play with a good flow, like you said. And that actually ends up translating into wins, as opposed to playing under pressure where you know you need a big wins here. That can crush out that ability. It can be panicky, it can be freezing, it can do all kinds of things to your game that you don't want to have happen to your game. So, you know, with the Sabres maybe looking to play spoiler here, excuse me, let me double check that I got that right. Yeah. With the Spartans, looking to play maybe spoiler here, that could be another like fun little incentive that they come in to just have fun with it, and that could bring them into some victories.
Yeah, as the kids say, it's time for a vibe check for both of these teams. It's time to see which team is got the moxie to get the result that they want out of this one here. And I'm excited to see this. And on paper, this match doesn't mean a lot. It's the unfortunate nature of the way that the schedule works at this point of the season. Sometimes in the endeavor to get teams equal airtime up to a certain point, sometimes you just pick matches at the start of the season that don't mean anything down here. But that doesn't make it mean any less to the players, because it's all about getting on a stage like this and showing yourselves having fun playing Rocket League. At the end of the day, that's what we're here to do, right, Lars? It's, you know, have fun playing a game that is so accessible to everybody.
Well, let's have fun playing a game and bringing this professional broadcasting atmosphere to everybody that wants to play. Regardless, you don't have to be the best player in the world, which, by the way, if you'd like to join us here in Minor League Esports, go ahead and head on over to mlesports.gg, mlesports.gg/apply, fill out the application, and you might find yourself on one of these streams yourself, because like Inanimate J said, we try to bring every team at every level equal airtime, at least up until this point. Then we're going to start picking things that have higher playoff implications. But that's for you, the viewer. And speaking of for you, the viewer, here we are in game number 1 of this set of 5, Sabres and Spartans.
I really want to see which team starts off first, because we're back up in Master League. We've taken away from those kind of slow, mechanical inconsistencies that we've seen from the last couple of series. Now we're back up in the players that are, GC1, a little bit higher, maybe bordering on GC2, and it's the Spartans that strike first. Krusty picks off the aerial ball that's set up by Peas and Beans out in front.
Well, you talked about we're getting away from a little bit of that slower gameplay, and Krusty so quickly to get up and over the top of that one, and you get to see the Sabres just focus more on challenging that ball, I think, in that scenario, and less about really trying to control. When you're down, you don't have a defender behind you, and you see that attacker coming, just get it away from the net.
Well, notwithstanding Rocket Raccoon actually on the back line for the Spartans offensively, disrupting defensively the Sabres. They'll get one here. Peas and Beans, that's not the best touch. Solrak was waiting for that, gets all of that ball with the Merc and the player too. Great follow-up by Roman, will angle that one in for the Sabres. 1-1, 30 seconds gone. Both of these teams deciding to come out and play with fireworks here, Lars, as it's been back and forth real early.
I like to see the demos. I like to see the physical aggression, and unfortunately on that last goal, they just put that last Spartan defender in such an awkward position with Solrak up on the wall, and the choices then become put it up on the wall to Solrak or put it into the mid in front of our own net. Great attack out of the Sabres to get that set up.
Another good look by Krusty. Torque will parry it away for the Sabres. Still pressure by the Spartans in the orange end of DFH Stadium. Good clear by Solrak. Expect to see a lot more of that at this level too. The really strong clears off the backboard with good follow-up presence as well through the midfield to try and keep pressure on that ball past that initial clear. You don't quite get that with the lower levels of MLE play because players just don't quite have that mechanical presence of mind at times to keep their car moving in the direction they want to.
Yeah, it's going to be big booming clears. Oh, but no big booming clear off the back wall here. Roman will collect that and finish it with relative ease on an open net.
Good timing by Roman on the challenge. Caught Rocket Raccoon looking for the boost in the corner. Turned upfield. Might have had ball cam off a split second too long, so didn't realize that Roman had won the 50 against their teammate there, so had to turn back, make that second guess play, and unfortunately for the Spartans defense, a big reason why they give up one. Give up a second here too. Solrak with a great shot finds the back post.
This is a great start for the Sabres as they are now hammering away on the goals. Only 92 seconds gone, and the Sabres finding a way to get the attack and the re-attack. It's so important to not just push once, but to continue to push until you find a way to finish it off.
2 defensive miscues by Rocket Raccoon so far. They're understandable. They're not the, egregious ones. They're just the ones that unfortunately result in a goal against. And at this level, you expect play like that to get punished. If you end up biting on that first touch by an offensive player that you're just not quite ready for, sometimes you're going to be in a tough spot, and the Spartans get themselves tangled up here. Solrak with a heads-up demo will take advantage. Roman completes the hat-trick. 4-1 Sabres.
Sabres taking advantage of a little bit of an offensive miscue here that slows that play down. Defensive miscue on the side of the Spartans, bumping each other out of the way, slows it down, allows the Sabres to play that exactly how they want to. Love the physical play. Demos, in my opinion, are underutilized in Rocket League, but Sabres making great effectivity with it.
I love watching people turn into salt mines in ranked because they say the only reason I win games is because I demo people. Yeah, you're just too slow to play fast enough to avoid my supersonic car. Torque, 5-1 lead now for the Sabres. Roman with such a good job to slow this down. Peas and Beans has so much time to try and make that decision, and it's really tough to make that play when you're a defender. You don't know where that ball's going because you've had to give up so much time and space to the offensive press that they really could just go anywhere with it.
Well, credit where credit's due, too. Roman slows that ball down up over the top and then bumps the player looking for the musty save. Roman going to collect a goal themselves here, and we aren't even halfway through game number 1.
We're more than halfway to a trip to South America as the Sabres give up the opening goal. And it's almost like the quick jab when you're in a prize fight, Lars. It's that one that just wakes you up and reminds you that you're in a game. And since that goal went in for the Spartans, the Sabres have pretty much had everything together, although that a good play from the Spartans to try and open things up. Unfortunately, a timed demo on the back rotation for the Sabres defense keeps that away. The Spartans get to halftime, but chasing this game by a country mile, they're going to need some goals and fast. Not getting the presence off the backboard might slow them down in that regard.
You are tempting fate, Inanimate J. Referencing boxing is maybe well known at this point. I was a collegiate boxer, so that's one of my favorite analogies, and I'm glad you brought it up. And right now, it's just been the Sabres absolutely have, as there's the Brazil scoreline. I doubt it will hold for the next 2 minutes. The Sabres absolutely have the Spartans on the ropes, and it's not a rope-a-dope. This is just Sabres teeing off.
Well, the one interesting stat looking at the sheets, the team sheets for this game, neither team has any player that averages more than a goal a game in threes. Roman is on pace for a double hat trick in game 1 of this series. For those keeping at home, 6 goals in game 1, even 5 goals in game 1, is enough to go scoreless for the next 4 games of this series and end the series with a higher goal per game average than they've managed all season long.
I think, actually, if Roman scores in the next 6 seconds, they're actually on pace for a triple hat trick. But there's an opportunity for the Spartans with a big defensive stop by Roman, now showing up on both ends of the field. Sabres slow down the scoring a little bit, and I hate to say it, but I'm almost wondering if they see that Brazil scoreline and are trying to hold it and backed off offense a little bit. But right now the Spartans are getting better challenges, getting better opportunities downfield, and doing just a better job of not allowing the Sabres to have quite as much space to play.
I can tell you that they've slowed down because it's really apparent in the play of Solrak. They were really instrumental in the physical play you talked about early on that opened up space against the Spartans defense to allow the Sabres opportunities to shoot. They've slowed down. They're not playing nearly as fast as they were for the first 2.5 minutes of this game. None of the Sabres players really have. Roman with the carry looking for the double hat trick, but it's to the top corner. Good read by Krusty. Will keep that one away for now. And you get the sense, Lars, the memery is on. They know the scoreline's here. They know they've won the game. And they're not here to fully embarrass the Spartans. And I give a little bit of respect to that. They've shown that they have what it takes to win this game. Now it's really just coming down to the last little details. Can they hold on and hold a lead when it's going to matter a little bit more if the Spartans are able to keep this close?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways that this could have played out with 2 minutes remaining and already up 7-1. There's a little bit of BM in holding the Brazil itself, but like you said, they could have looked for some memery shots and things like that. At the end of the day, they take this opportunity to slow down a little bit, practice a little bit of control. And the Spartans can't find a way to break even with that slowed down Sabres team and find a way to get themselves a couple goals back into this game.
Doing a quick bit of caster math, Roman managed to accrue 1,025 points of score this game, which is good enough to combine the scores of 4 people. Not the highest 4 in the lobby, but it amounts to the same amount of effort that was put in by 4 other players in this game. 5 goals, 2 assists, 100% goal participation, 6 shots, and a Savior medal to boot on the backside. A lot of that was opened up by play by Solrak physically, and on the passes as well, that won't get the same level of recognition, Lars. But it was a clinical game 1 out of the Sabres.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things to note here. First of all, like you said, the huge effort out of Roman. And it's not just that they put up 5 goals, but their ability to be present everywhere on the field shows that they are an enormous part of this team right now. But you don't get to play like that if you don't have a solid team backing up. So even Torque, who doesn't have quite the stat line that really hangs with Roman there, that they are still instrumental. You can't play like this unless you have good fast rotations, you're making good solid challenges, midfield challenges. That kind of play just doesn't result in score lines. Now as we get into game number 2, it'll be interesting to see how the Spartans respond to what happened in game number 1.
Well, it starts off with a good physical back-checking demo by Krusty on Solrak, who was the deliverer of many a demo of that style against the Spartans defense. I need to see the Spartans just hold the ball a little bit longer. Krusty looking for the offensive bump. There it is. Peas and Beans doesn't have the flip, but Rocket Raccoon will follow up. They get that one through. Seems like the Sabres didn't quite start with that same zip, and now they pay for it again with that early goal.
Yeah, they've slowed down, and they're in the habit of moving a little bit slower. And the physical threat, we've talked about it time and time again. You don't even need to make contact. You just have to threaten it, and it takes the attention away from the shot and puts it onto that attacker, and it makes it that much harder to save. Spartans take advantage of it now, quickly back on the back foot after that second kickoff. Wow.
Sabres had a really good look at the goal there as the Spartans defense missed one off the backboard. This one in a tough spot as Rocket Raccoon will have to go back off their own backboard. Roman keeps it alive. Solrak right there. Good save by Peas and Beans for the Spartans. Puts Torque in a tough spot now for the Sabres defense, but a lot of time to make that play. You really want to see the Spartans get a little bit more aggressive to that ball. They had two players in rotation still for the Sabres defense. They just didn't really aggress that third defender to try and force a mistake.
Now the Spartans looking to make this happen. Krusty trying to get physical in front of the net. We're getting a good offensive rotation out of the Spartans, trying to keep this one contained, but they haven't found a way. They've got the ball in front of that, but they haven't found a way to put it in front of the net with a player to shoot. And they do hold on to their tenuous lead here. But there's a big read off the back wall, or lack thereof, out of the Sabres defense, and Rocket Raccoon will extend the Spartans' lead. Excuse me.
Solrak just took a little bit too long to get onto the backboard. Might have been hoping for that ball to bounce a little bit sooner. By the time the decision was made, the read was way too late. Rocket Raccoon drills that front of the Fennec through the ball. Biggest lead we've seen for the Spartans. They got the first goal in Game 1, but then gave up 7 more on the hop. Now 2 unanswered to start Game 2 has them in a pretty good spot. A lot of time left on the clock as the Sabres offense looks to set up here.
Spartans controlling this game now, controlling the ball upfield. Krusty throws that one to Solrak, who grabs a save. That one's off the back wall, and there's the follow-through from Peas and Beans, another one of my favorites. Attack the back wall, force the defender out of position, then shoot on net.
I love the play, the risk that was so high at that point. Krusty had already gone in for that corner and got really out of the way in time for Rocket Raccoon to make the play. Caught the Sabres off guard as they just weren't able to close off that rotation effectively. Now the Sabres, for all of their offensive strength in Game 1, the Spartans have come to play. Peas and Beans on their doorstep. Solrak with a tough save will keep that one out. 3 minutes left on the clock. The Sabres yet to show any real flashes of the offense we saw in Game 1. Till that, as Roman picks up a loose ball, puts it in, the Sabres are on the board.
Well, Roman now firmly above that 1 goal per game that maybe we're asking for. Rocket Raccoon forced into a very awkward position to try to make that save. At some point, you just have to commit to diving off the wall, and if it's anywhere else, you're really just gambling to try to get that one back. Now Roman looking to put one into the back wall. Here's an opportunity for the Sabres. They get that one low into the post, and Rocket Raccoon will pinch it clear. Sabres finally starting to show some urgency, show some life to get this ball and get this game back under control.
Good look by Torque, looking for Roman on the clear. That's what you want to see out of threes. You want to look for a teammate on the clear because trying to do it all yourself leaves a lot of work to be done. Torque, great shot, but not enough speed on it. Rocket Raccoon does a good job to come back. Solrak trying to keep it alive in front of the net, but a good job by the Spartans recover this one up to a point. Peas and Beans desperately away from the bar as the Sabres throw a bunch at the gray net. They can't find a way through to find their second of Game 2.
Spartans playing this one across right now. Where the Spartans had advantages before, it feels like they take so much effort and so much energy just to get the ball into the shooting lane. By the time it's there, there's nothing left to follow up and get that shot. Need to see them be a little bit more efficient in setting up the attack just like that. Krusty, unfortunately, throwing that one right at Roman, who has a relatively easy save into the corner. Need to see them be efficient in the attack so they have a follow-through to re-attack and score more goals here.
Well, good look there. Roman looking to relay the ball through Torque back in front of the net, but unfortunately not quite enough zip on that one. Torque looking for a sneaky one. Rocket Raccoon will get a savior for that. And the Sabres again blocked away. Under 90 seconds now to go. Game number 2, the Spartans hanging on well to a 3-1 lead as that one's a double commit by the Sabres. Opens up the net, and Torque, ever present on the third rotation, makes it 3-2.
2 is 1, 1 is none. Sabres now within 1 and have proven they are so effective on the attack in game number 1 that 1 goal should not be something to lean on here if you are the Spartans. Spartans need to find a way to bring this one back to a 2 or even 3 goal lead as that ball quickly will send down towards the net.
Well, it's do or die time for the Spartans in this one. The Sabres, despite down a goal, you look at the balance of game 1 and you know that they've got the opportunities and the strength, as this one desperately close to the bar won't go home until the 3rd crack at it, as Peas and Beans will finally come through for the Spartans and restore the 2-goal lead.
What a read there. Gets the 50 and gets the touch off the ceiling with the follow-through. And we got a lot of participation out of all the Spartans there, but Peas and Beans really showing up to make that one happen. Really shows why you need to follow through on your touches and stay close. A lot of players will hit that ball, dump it down, and then look for maybe someone else to pick it up. But if you follow through, you can generate opportunities like we see out of Peas and Beans.
The presence is such an important factor, especially at this level of play where you need to be able to follow up on your plays to make the defense uncomfortable in their read, because at this level players are good enough that they've hit that free ball thousands upon thousands of times in free play. At this point it's rote memory, but when you have to make them think about it, that's when they're open to making mistakes, because that's when it's not fully routine. That one though, fully routine. Waterfall and down, Solrak open net, 4-3 game.
And that's a 2 on none after this. Rocket Raccoon turns away and gets bumped by Roman. That is that follow-through physical awareness on the goal line we have harped on all night long, and you can see why it leads to goals with scary consistency.
The Spartans just need to hold on for 16 more seconds to get 1 game out of what seemed like an impossible task. That an opening for the Sabres, though. Roman, not enough boost. Solrak chasing down Rocket Raccoon. You don't need boost if there's no defense, but Rocket Raccoon with a fantastic recovery should do just enough. Torque in the air, Krusty with the intercept. It's still alive, although the touch by Solrak takes it away. Spartans walk away with game 2. They hold on to win 4-3.
Solrak not only touching the ball, but touching that other player coming through underneath is not going to allow that one to develop into an offensive opportunity. Back down the field, and like you said, going into game number 3, we are now even in this series. It's not what either of these teams needed. Both teams were looking for that sweep, but it is a great start for both of these teams for an exciting matchup for you here tonight.
It was an important game, I think, for Rocket Raccoon to have with the MVP award in game for that, because I felt like game 1 they were a little bit quiet. They didn't have the best overall game and kind of didn't directly contribute, but wasn't influential enough defensively on the plays that let the Sabres get the lead. So to come up big with 4 saves and 2 of the goals that got the Spartans through game 2, I think was important to reset the mentality coming in to what's now an important game 3 for both of these teams, because both of these teams need this win and then everyone after it to keep their seasons alive. And at this point now, the Spartans really don't have that much to play for. You know that they needed to run the table. 4-1 still does them a lot of work, but it's still everything left to play for in 3 weeks. This is just about now the Sabres, whether or not they have what they need to get what they want out of this one, which is the other 3 wins.
Yeah, if they can pick up a wild card, like we said, it's just, if you get the wild card, nothing matters anymore. You've made the playoffs, and you are now on that one-and-done road to the championship. I do like the Sabres' consistent equality in their gameplay, however. Every player in that last game had a goal. 2 of the 3 players had an assist. Every player had saves. Every player had shots. And that's a dangerous team in my mind, a team where every player can make any play anywhere.
No, Roman with a defensive miss. Torque will have to come across for that one, as the Spartans won't be able to track that down in time. You're cheering for the Sabres right now. Watch out. This is not where you want to see your team playing. A great clear by Torque, putting Krusty in a tough spot. Missed the mid-boost as well. Spartans now really scrambling on this one. If the Sabres can get meaningful possession, it might be a problem. Torque with possession in the corner. Well read by Rocket Raccoon. Gets it to midfield, not away from the Spartans net for long, but long enough that it forces the Sabres into that wide-angle rotation that buys the Spartans time to get back and set up on the defensive line.
Well, Spartans may have been able to set up a defensive rotation, but Sabres maintain pressure. But there's another touch from Solrak, taking it away from a teammate. They do recover enough, to prevent an immediate attack out of the Spartans. Now Rocket Raccoon has control, taken away by Roman. Peas and Beans at the midfield. There's that midfield play that doesn't generate stat lines, but is so critical to an effective team, that ability to challenge through the midfield, not allow plays to exist solely in the ends of the field.
You need to be able to win the midfield line, because that transition between offense and defense for either team is often where this game is won and lost. That opportunity to hold the ball in offensively if you were just attacking, or the ability to win that challenge upfield and buy your team defensively time to reset and maybe transition that into a full pressure offense on the other side, is oftentimes the difference between scoring a goal or getting scored on. It's that important, and it's really unfortunate that it doesn't get recognized by the game in that regard, because it's such an underrated thing to look at.
Yeah, I almost wish there was something that would give you points for transitioning momentum in the midfield. I don't know, you see that ball coming down and sending it right back down across. Now Roman trying to send this one wide of their own net. That's an awkward, kind of scary touch, but they're up to the challenge. Mechanically past to Peas and Beans, who gets the dunk, and the Spartans take another lead.
I love the pass from Rocket Raccoon here. Just waits for the bounce, knows the timing on that one to set it up. Both Sabres players are in a tough spot. Solrak does really well, though, to get on that ball. Peas and Beans gets the follow-through into the upper 90. Took almost 2.5 minutes to get there, but the first goal of Game 3 goes the Spartans' way.
Spartans looking wildly different than we saw in game number 1, and part of that, I think, is the Sabres have slowed down on the physicality, they've slowed down on the challenges, and they've been playing still a little too relaxed for my taste, especially given, I understand, following game 1 with that attitude, but following game 2, I'd like to see a little bit of a fire lit for them.
Well, they're going to need a bit of a fire here, as Rocket Raccoon doesn't miss that shot by much. Torque follows through on Krusty, but no one's there to really get a good clear. Roman went for boost. The backflip feels Batman, but Rocket Raccoon off the bar and away. No harm, no foul for the Sabres. They don't get a great shot, though, as all of the desperation goes into the clear, and there's no real effect on that transitional play to offense.
Speaking of transitions, that one opened up on a double commit out of the Spartans, trying to get that one clear. Means there's no one to challenge that touch off the wall, puts Krusty in a bad spot, and Solrak finds a way to finish it.
How good was the read by Roman, though, to act as a relay play for Solrak's clear? Spun around on the wall after grabbing the boost behind the double commit, and just puts a pinpoint perfect pass back out in the middle for Solrak to finish off.
Beautiful team play. It's great awareness up and down the field, and it really speaks to where positioning and rotation are so critical in opening up these opportunities. Solrak, it seems like we've said Solrak a lot. They've been at the center of a lot of these plays, but there's no one there. Peas and Beans will save that, and Torque will clean it up.
Sometimes less is more. That one, I understand that mentality. You know there's a defender coming across for the Sabres. You know you want to do something to put them off, but unfortunately for the Spartans defensively, it forces the Sabres to get the ball in transition. They never get it clear. Solrak keeps it alive. Torque gets the final touch, and the Spartans chase game 3 now with 1:04 to go.
Sabres are a very capable team. We know that they can put on goals themselves, but in a way, the 2 goals they've had here in game number 3 have been a bit of a gift from the Spartans, both of them coming off of defensive double commits out of the Spartans. Spartans need to find a way to cover the ground a little bit more effectively with solid rotations and not double committing away from the net.
Well, that's awkward from Roman back towards the Sabres net. Torque is well positioned to clear it away, as the Spartans won't capitalize immediately, as a big play by Rocket Raccoon in front off the Krusty pass will not find the target. Back to midfield. The Spartans need to get this ball upfield. Transition might be where they're looking for. Fake by Peas and Beans slows down for Rocket Raccoon, but that just lets Roman pick the pocket coming back to take that away. 2 big chances for the Spartans, and the Sabres recover. Well, what a dunk by Rocket Raccoon from the heavens. It's 2-2.
Rocket Raccoon was up so early for that one, ready for Torque to make that clear, and Torque just doesn't have the awareness to play it low or to the side. Attempts to send it back, and we are tied in the last 18 seconds of Game 3.
Well, the Spartans needed a spark to get them into this one. How about Rocket Raccoon? Another big dunk here late in Game 3, looking for the game winner. It won't come right away, and they need to defend here. Krusty out of boost will play this to the Spartans' corner. Rocket Raccoon can't get the touch. It's still alive. Where's the Sabres offense? Solrak flying in. Won't find the touch. Stays alive behind Roman. It's up to Torque. Still alive for the Sabres. They've got it off the baseboard 2 or 3 times. Peas and Beans with the fake. It won't work. Roman drills it in. Post it in. Sabres take Game 3.
Oh, I was so scared seeing Peas and Beans go off the ceiling here. Needed to get one more touch. That's too easy for Roman to read. And Krusty left alone in the net. You don't realize how small these cars are compared to the net until you see that sole defender and that entire net to shoot at. Sabres do take this one without going to overtime. We had a lot of time spent with that 0-second clock, but at the end of the day, Sabres walk away, now lead the series 2-1. A great showing out of the Spartans to stay competitive and stay in this one.
The Spartans had everything they needed to just get that game to overtime. The Sabres had so much in terms of defensive work to do. The Spartans were throwing things at the net. They were forcing the Sabres into tough spots. But when it mattered the most, on the final seconds, the final ticks of the clock where the Spartans had gotten back in to this game on the basis of an incredible dunk out of Rocket Raccoon, they get undone by just being completely unable to ground the ball in their own half. And that's got to hurt if you're cheering for the Spartans right now, because they deserve to at least get overtime in that one. They had 10 shots, Lars, and the Sabres with 5 saves, a lot of them really good ones as well. Just, it deserved more than what we got.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen them play that one down. I do need to point out that while the Spartans managed to outshoot, we did see Krusty lacking a little bit when we look at that scoreline again, as opposed to the Sabres, who once again were very evenly distributed across the scoreline. And you see where they've walked away now with another victory. Now, as we get into Game 4, we'll see if the Sabres can keep this one up and try to keep their playoff hopes alive.
Well, the Spartans, after the disappointment of Game 3, have little left to play for, but spoiler, how about taking a Blue Conference rival out of the playoff picture now that they've taken your slim hopes of a playoff run away? We'll see if they can respond like they did in Game 2. Let's do so defensively, first of all, Lars, as this ball has not left the Spartans' half of Utopia Coliseum until this point. It's a good one, too. Peas and Beans with the relay, but Rocket Raccoon, a little awkward over the shoulder, can't do a lot with that one. Stays in the Sabres' corner, but not a lot to say or do about it.
Yeah, you can tell that these Spartan players are feeling the pressure, because here in the Master League, I mean, you know that these players are very capable. They're very talented Rocket League players, but that touch from Rocket Raccoon, or lack thereof, Peas and Beans looking for the double. Rocket Raccoon will clean it up. Redemption for that miss on the side earlier. And we see Spartans in the lead yet again.
Play of the week candidate till it goes off the post and away, but a great job by the Spartans in front, because both Rocket Raccoon and Krusty react to the miss at the same time. They both go for it, almost double committing on the line, and they need to get something on that ball. So it's a good thing that they get it through. It's a good shot by Rocket Raccoon, because the Spartans, right there, all the eggs in a basket, Lars. And at this point, I don't blame them. You don't have anything left to lose. So just send it. Just send that ball right now, because that might be what puts the Sabres in the most uncomfortable of spots defensively.
Yeah, it's like playing down with less than 90 seconds to go, where everything just becomes about putting offensive pressure on. But, you know, they say the best defense is a good offense. If you can hammer your opponent back in their own end, they can't score. I mean, we've seen where that's not necessarily true, but for the most part, that's generally a good strategy. And if the Spartans continue to just throw themselves at this Sabres net, they could continue to find goals like this.
Peas and Beans falling back into the defensive hole left by the mutual demo between Sabre and Spartan near the Spartans' net will effectively keep possession in the Spartans' favor for the moment. Torque with a good ball up the sideboards will meet Peas and Beans. Solrak in a good spot for the relay play as well. We've seen the team plays out of the Sabres throughout the course of this series, Lars. I think they might need to look for some more of that as Roman tries to open the door and Torque can't find a way through for the moment.
Notably, when the Sabres return to that physical play style, they score more goals. And as they start to lay off the physicality, they haven't been able to find the net quite as effectively. I'd love to see them return to rotating through the front of the net, hammering that ball home, and really using the physical presence on the field to generate opportunities. Speaking of which, Rocket Raccoon over the top of Torque. What a defensive play.
Well, how about Solrak getting the reach of that Merc to open the play up initially? A little bit extra hitbox on the ball, got it past the challenge, and the Spartans throw 3 at the net. Peas and Beans actually will fall back into a good spot. Great timing on that rotation as well. No Sabres player able to track that one down, and the Spartans keep it alive, take more valuable time off this clock. But we saw it last game, Lars. The Sabres don't need time on the clock to score a goal. They just need the opportunity to make something count.
All it takes is one goal, one split-second error on the side of the Spartans for this to start to slide back the other way. They look to play spoiler here. Krusty picking this one up off the bump on Roman, and there's Peas and Beans just guiding this one all the way through. Peas and Beans with a huge physical play.
Grabs a torch and says, "Follow me to victory." Krusty says, "Okay, I trust you." And all of a sudden, it's a 2-0 Spartans lead. A big goal, Lars. 97 seconds on the clock. The Sabres need a quick one to try and get another win out of this series.
It's an absolute crying shame that Peas and Beans will get nothing on the stat line for that play, because that play does not work without Peas and Beans absolutely clearing the way for Krusty and Rocket Raccoon. But as we get through down closer and closer to the final minute, Spartans need to continue to bring this pressure, this aggression, and this dominance here against the Sabres, or the Sabres could still turn this one back.
Just over 60 seconds left on the clock. Roman not able to hold that ball in super effectively for the Sabres. Solrak having to do a couple loops in the corner. Spartans don't have a great position on this defensively. Torque looks for that one, but Peas and Beans will beat the physical play by Solrak. 3-0 Spartans lead with 53 to go.
Wow, Peas and Beans muscling out the Merc to get this one over the top just a little bit too quick in that speedy little octane. Now with 3 goals, now is where you could maybe start to feel a little bit comfortable. 1 is none, 2 is, it could still evaporate fairly quickly, but at 3 goals, if something starts to go majorly wrong, you still have a little bit of time to think about it, but Solrak doesn't give time to clear.
1 is none, 2 is 1, 3's company, and we're back to a 2-goal game.
Just a great challenge out of Solrak, recognizing that bounce, seeing that defender go just a little bit too high, and then pushing that one through. Muscly Merc showing up on the goal line.
Oh, what
Peas
a
and
bounce.
Beans.
We talked about it a little bit in the last series. Sometimes off kickoffs, you're just in an awkward spot, and Solrak just a little bit too deep into the corner, doesn't really give respect to that bounce. Peas and Beans follow-up touch, irrelevant at that point. It's already in, and that one touch by Solrak at one end to get within 2 is just undone by an awkward kickoff, and that's a feels bad man moment. What a save by Krusty. Roman and Solrak almost combining for a bit of a team pinch, but it stays out.
And there's been some huge plays on the side of the Spartans here. Krusty's been a little bit quiet all series, but that one big save there could be the difference maker in any kind of momentum Sabres would have had to bring this one back. And now that we're sub 20 seconds, this is fairly secure in favor of the Spartans. Now just a quick back and forth. Solrak will bounce this one to the mid. Peas and Beans as a quick challenge on Torque. Last few seconds tick off the clock. Sabres looking for one for the road, looking to get some momentum into Game 5, but the Spartans will take us there on a tied series 2-2.
You and I get what we wanted in the booth, a close competitive series. Neither team gets what they wanted in terms of standings, but I don't think you and I are going to complain too much, because it's entertaining Rocket League at its finest at this point. Both of these teams just trading games back and forth down the series, and it's not even like the games that have been close have been decided on 1 or 2 mistakes. They've been earned wins. Mm-hmm. Even the game 1 win that the Sabres ran away with, they were looked full value for that win. The Spartans just looked that much better in response.
Credit to the Spartans here to go down in Game 1 in just dominating fashion. I mean, we can't really sugarcoat how Game 1 went. That was Sabres control the whole way through. They got the Brazil scoreline and then just held it for 2 minutes, controlling for that long. And that would crush a lot of players. And we talk a lot about the mental game of Rocket League. Had the chance to interview some couple really high-level players, and they both had the same answer, unprompted, to what's the difference. And it's the mental game. Spartans right now showing that mental game with that comeback in this series, now looking to close it out with a series victory.
Well, the team with nothing to lose is often the team with the most dangerous prospects, and that's what the Spartans have kind of turned into with the games going the way that they have. With a team that has nothing left to lose, all they can do is push forward and look for victory to ruin other people's days. Now for the Sabres, it's a matter of, will 3-2 be enough, if they even get 3-2 at this point? Starting out in the offensive corner, we'll get quite a lot of that, Lars, and I think this might be the game that, if it gets out of hand early, is going to be an easy decision. If it stays close, it's really going to be one of those things. And Solrak gets the benefiting end of a play by the Spartans here. Peas and Beans is not quite enough on that clear.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that they don't get that one by, and then not a great challenge out of Rocket Raccoon. They're not positioned well to get a good 50 there, and Solrak is able to push that one home. But I just feel that at this point, I mean, having taken 2 games off of this Sabres team, that's huge. That's super critical as Peas and Beans doesn't get the double touch that would have tied it back up. And it speaks to those 300 Spartans at the Thermopylae Pass. At the end of the day, win or lose here, they didn't win that battle, but they do enough damage to that Persian army to keep them away from victory.
Actually, a very apt analogy at this point. The Pyrrhic victory might be on the cards, even with a 2-3 loss here. I don't think they're going to settle for the 2-3, Lars. We've seen enough out of the Spartans.
Take another one.
We've seen enough out of the Spartans to know that this game isn't over unless the Sabres score a bunch here. And right now, with a lot of the Sabres pushing forward to try and extend that lead, there's the opportunities. Rocket Raccoon needs to get this pass forward. Peas and Beans. What a shot to find the inside of the bar to make it 1-1.
Literally out of my seat, Peas and Beans on the crossbar off of Rocket Raccoon, and Roman just can't quite get there in time. Torque doesn't have the read off the crossbar, and we are tied between the Spartans and the Sabres here in the Game 5 decider for the series. Playoffs be darned. This is good Rocket League.
I don't think there was any chance. I'll come back to that as a kickoff goal goes against the Sabres here. What a reaction by Krusty. Out of the backfield, right up, uncontested for the most part in the midfield. Just beats Roman to that ball. Solrak giving a little bit too much respect to the teammate on that challenge. And the Spartans hit back quickly. It's 2-1.
I even love the way Krusty comes up to that shot. They've got the air roll, but it's just straight air roll and an absolute rocket to the ball. The confidence in the shot and the placement is, oh no. This one, a bit of a gift from Solrak as they don't get the flip into that ball.
Sometimes you're just in the middle of a turn and you can't pull the e-brake fast enough, you can't pull left trigger fast enough to get the right angle. The side flip feels bad, man. And that is 3-1 Spartans with 3:02 to go in Game 5.
What a transition from a game that started very even, but to the Sabres' advantage, has very quickly developed into the Spartans' game. Now, the onus is on them to hold this and not let the Sabres make their comeback.
That's a chance for Krusty to get that clear. Waits too long, never went out for the ball. All 3 Sabres were in a spot where if Krusty just drills this clear, it's in a tough spot for them, but Torque kind of shadows behind the hitbox, and maybe the nameplate of Roman on that play. Krusty doesn't know who's going to play it, gets stuck, frozen on the goal line.
Yeah, I absolutely believe Krusty saw Roman there and expected Roman to make a touch and was waiting on that touch. And unfortunately, just gives too much space to Solrak to clear this one up. And now, I'm not going to say the phrase again, but we're within 1 goal between the Sabres and the Spartans, and we're back to anybody's game.
Well, good look by Peas and Beans to center that for Rocket Raccoon, but not wanting to commit, trying to defend the 1-goal lead. I respect that. Maybe if this one goes the Spartans' way, we'll look back on that one and be like, yeah, it was the right play. It definitely is. Peas and Beans gets the playmaker. Rocket Raccoon finishes the job, and it's 4-2.
Spartans are on fire. They are flying. These plays develop so quickly, and that's part of how they've been able to run roughshod over the Sabres here. able to get these plays in transition to happen at lightning speed. That's so hard to defend. They're even looking for the fake on the kickoff.
I love that. They haven't played that all series long, and why not with a 2-goal lead to try and bait in a little bit out of the Sabres. We talked about the fluidity of the play, Lars. When the Sabres were on point and finding one another on plays, they were getting really good results. They were really successful. Oh, that was really awkward for Krusty, but no follow-up play out of the Sabres. With the way that the Spartans have been finding one another on clears and chances, what a save by Peas and Beans! Off the bar and down the net at the Sabres' mercy, and Peas and Beans says, no, you will not score.
Wow, this is non-stop here at the end of this series, at the end of the night here for MLE GG, back and forth, still within 2 goals, 90 seconds remain on the clock, and the Sabres looking to make an argument to try to get themselves towards the playoffs, but I think if the Spartans can take this Game 5, that may be the end of the line for both of these teams.
I absolutely think that that's the case. It'll depend a lot on other results. What a team save by Torque. All the momentum across. Roman had to hit anywhere but where they did. And that sums up Game 5 for the Sabres in a nutshell, Lars. It just isn't going their way right now.
Between the Spartans popping off and making huge plays and just, I hate to say it, but just kind of bad luck on the side of the Sabres. It's just not their game. But 45 seconds left to try to shake that. You go throw some salt over your shoulder if you're suspicious. Whatever it is you need to do to try to get this one back. But the clock rapidly ticking away on the playoff hopes. Roman's got that bump, but the Sabres just aren't there to finish.
Little bit slow in transition. Roman trying to get the air dribble out. Bought a lot of time for the Sabres to get upfield. And unfortunately, I don't think they closed the space effectively enough. Solrak from the parking lot. Peas and Beans again with a great save. And another on the follow-up by Torque. It'll go all the way downfield to get us to the final 10 of Game 5. Spartans, with all the pressure, 2 goals in the lead, have done just enough now, Lars, to hold on to win Game 5 against all odds coming in. They win the series. They may have taken both teams out of the playoffs, but what a way to do it.
Yeah, that is a fantastic showing here out of the Spartans. They get to play spoiler, they get to win the series, and give us that exciting Game 5 decider. What a game back and forth. What play out of both of these teams. And we get to see an interesting mix of play styles, an interesting mix of games. We got the huge blowout of game number 1 with the fancy and flash of the Sabres just running wild all the way up and down the field. We get to see the physical slugfest back and forth. And then we get to see just the good, solid transition play out of the Spartans here in game number 5. If you want a series to look at a bunch of different fun things in Rocket League, here, come right here. Come watch the VOD.
It's definitely a showcase as to what MLE has to offer. Skill levels of all kinds welcome. We've got leagues for them all. But that is going to do it for you and I for tonight, Lars. Primetime Saturday night has come to an end, but Father's Day Sunday has another slate of 8 matches left across both this channel and MLE Sports GG2. Make sure you follow them both. For myself, Inanimate J, for Lars Newt, for just staying alive in the booth, a flaming truck on the match official duties for tonight. A big thank you from our production team for watching. We're going to send you off into the night. Stick around for the host, and we'll see you tomorrow for Showdown Sunday for the last matches of Week 9. Take it easy, and we'll see you later.